Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be breaking down these two terms that we hear probably all the time in personal development. So this Monday morning, we're going to be talking about principles and how this maybe acts more like a compass that's pointing us in the right direction, and then standards, setting our own standards for the way we want to live. And this is really, you can think of words like measurement, measure, to really be able to set a bar and stick with it and make sure we're making progress along the way, because it's really easy to get lost. Cheers, friends. Enjoy the morning episode. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Chalk Tanner Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercises to help make you the absolute best person you can be, not only for yourself, but for the people you love and care about most. This morning, we're talking about principles and we're talking about standards. These terms come up quite a bit, and I think understanding them and knowing the difference between the two was something that didn't really come up. For me, they kind of always meant like the same thing. But after doing a little bit of research and trying to set some of my own standards, shout out to Tony Robbins, who talks about setting standards for yourself and how that's just made such a huge impact on his life and many of the people that he gets to work to. I've had the privilege of doing some of Tony's seminars and reading his books and stuff like that. And he talks about setting your standards a lot. But I've also heard people like one of his mentors, Jim Rohn, someone who I really like and look up to. You can see a lot of his content as well. He passed away quite a bit ago, but his content lives on. This idea of principles and having principles. So what's the difference between the two? Let's go ahead and go to my screen. We can start with here, and we're just going to go ahead and break it down. A couple different definitions for you guys. So let me share my screen. How's everyone doing this morning? Doing good? Ready to rock and roll? Maybe you're grabbing your coffee, grabbing something to eat this morning as we're going to try and learn a little bit. All right, folks. So we have here for our first definition under principles. So this would be principles are fundamental truths or guiding doctrines that dictate behavior, decision-making, or functioning with a particular context. They serve as the foundation upon which actions, beliefs, or rules are built. Principles are often driven from values, which we'll talk deep into values this morning. That'll be our prime example, and ethical considerations, providing a framework for assessing and addressing various situations. All right. Standards, on the other hand, are established criteria, benchmarks, or guidelines used to measure. Measurement will be our key term for standards this morning, or evaluate performance, quality, or compliance. They represent a set of expectations or specifications that must be met or upheld within a given context. Standards can encompass technical specifications, best practices, regulatory requirements, or norms agreed upon by a particular community or industry. All right, so we have principles and we have standards. Let's go ahead and go to the board, and we're going to break down a few of these terms as we get up here. Before we do that, you guys, how's everyone doing this morning? It's a little rainy out here for us this morning, but it is, man, it does feel like warm spring air. So I am excited about that. I need to pull up my own coaching document real quick. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Okay. That's all under that. Yesterday, I reorganized. I did a lot of reorganizing on thinking about standards and principles, and some of my standards are my organizational practices and skills. And I really went all out on. I went so all out. I'm having a hard time finding. Okay, perfect. I got another example. This will work. All right, principles. First word that we're going to be thinking of, say, a compass. Compass. And we want to use, in this case, our values. Values is something that I work with a lot of my clients on, and I really try to get them to take their top values and use it as social media content to leverage, because people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So we want to be able to represent our values and show. And if you told me your top values, so what are some of my, I'm looking over here at my one-page life plan that I always have anchored to my board. So say if we have a couple values at like adventure, we have adventure, and say another one of my values is health. These two values mean a lot to me. So you can think of any values. Maybe it's honesty, or maybe it's compassion, or maybe it's listening, or whatever your values can be. Everyone's are different. But I'm the principle behind it stays the same. So we act as principles as like a compass. It's not like this hard line or anything, like so much as standards is really a very to the point form of measurement that we can really see and analyze. But for principles, this is more like a compass, because every situation is a little bit different, because honesty can mean a variety of things. Or adventure can mean a variety of things, such as I can be adventurous by going to a national park, or I can be adventurous just like learning something new within my work and being okay with knowing I'm not very good at this right now. So you can see there's flexibility, and how principles act as the compass to guide us to act in alignment with how we want. But to really check this out with values. So, for example, with adventure and health. So if I start eating like crap, if I start I don't care about my sleep, I don't care about like exercise and my movement, a lot of the fundamentals of health, I am going to feel like crap. Or say if I don't go on an adventure, I don't go to a national park for a long time, it starts to eat away at me a little bit. So when we don't act in alignment with our values, there's this gap. So this is where, say if we're right here and say this is when we are acting in alignment and when we're acting out of alignment. This section when we were acting out of alignment is what we like to call anxiety. You know, that feeling in your chest, maybe it's in your neck, maybe it's in your shoulders, this pressure, this internal pressure that we put into ourselves. And I believe that it comes from when we are acting out of alignment with who we really are, when we're not acting in alignment with our principles. When we do the work that we say we're going to be doing, when we help the people that we say we want to help, when we treat ourselves with respect and kindness, we tend to feel good on the side in the gains of life, in the good of it. But when we are acting out of alignment, when we're eating unhealthy garbage for a while, and it really starts, not only is it jacking up our cells from a nutritional standpoint and functions of the body, but it's also just in our minds, we know that we're better than this. I know that I'm better than eating that cheeseburger again. It doesn't mean I got to go without for the rest of my life, but if my principles and my values tie into health, that's just how this works. We can't fight against who we really are, or else there will be a consequence. There will be a consequence, and it'll be in the form of depression, anxiety, sadness. A lot of these, there is a cost. There's no free lunch. We don't just get to go through life. You can't just go through life and act willy-nilly like, oh, I can just do whatever I want, whenever I want, without that structure of principles to act as that compass, that guide to who we really want to be and where we really want to go. Without using this compass as the guide, I think it can cause a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. So we just want to be cautious of this. And that's visual representations, metaphors, these types of things have always really helped me better understand my principles. And next time you're not feeling super great, you're like, wow, I just don't feel good today. Something's up. Maybe you check back in with your values. If you need help with your values, reach out to me. I would love to help walk you through it. I also have a free video on my YouTube all about values and diving into that section. But I really help people turn this into social media content. But if you just want personal stuff, I'm always here to help too. Would love to help and support. But understanding your values and say adventure and health, or a number of other ones, say as like love, it would be another great example we have over here. You got to have love as a principle. And if you're not loving yourself, if you're not loving with animals, if you're not loving with the people who you care about most, then that's when it starts to creep in. The anxiety, the pressure, the fear of the unknown. There's two versions of us, right, that we've talked about on the show before. We have the hero within us, the person who can get gritty, the person who can do what needs to be done. And then we have the coward who just, every time that it starts to get a little tough, we have to go eat something unhealthy. Every time it gets a little tough, we have to go do something that's out of alignment with our values. And that's why substances are such a problem, because we get out of alignment with our values. We feel this pain deep inside ourselves, and we have to numb it with substances. So that's the name. That's the name of the game with principles. But again, just using it as a compass to guide you to do the things that you want to do in any given situation. There's a little wiggle room, flexibility within this, but we know deep down what we really represent, what we value, and that will be our guide on what we should and shouldn't be doing today. Good morning, everyone. Need a little drink of water. I don't know how a lot of these people on these talk shows just talk for hours and hours and hours, and I never see them like take a sip of water. And I'm like, holy crap, dude! Like, doesn't your throat like get all scratchy and jacked up? Okay. Either way, on to standards. So standards is a little more like the hard line in the sand. So the line in the sand, line in the sand. And I like to think of these being more specific is better when it comes to setting standards for yourself. So maybe you've heard this in personal development books. Maybe you've heard it from your friends. You've heard it from just anything that's like, man, what are your standards? Or what are the standards for this company or this industry? Or maybe you've heard it in commercials like, we have a standard where we do this and we guarantee this, or something within business, right? Okay, standards. So think specific. So you want to be as specific as possible with these so you can measure, right? So measure is our key word here, such as the compass was the key word over here for principles as the guide. And measure is like, okay, what are the specific lines in the sand that I will not cross? So a couple of mine would be that I'm really working on is no pot. So I've been smoking pot more as of late, and I really like marijuana, but I just can't work on it, dude. I just can't. I just chill out. I'm a nice guy and all that stuff. I'm relaxed. If my stomach hurts, marijuana is my saving grace. I kind of have a sensitive stomach, for anyone who knows me. Granted, it's been good because it like really forces me to eat healthy and be a little more cautious with it. But man, if my stomach ever hurts, marijuana is my medicine. I'm trying to avoid anything like taking pills of anything if I don't have to. And marijuana has been a true medicine for me. So that's why I respect it so much. But what I will say is when I do it outside of that, it makes me pretty dumb and it makes me not motivated, to be frank. And so just trying to cut that out until I go to, so in about, I think it's like 2.5, 3 weeks. So like 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks, and then I go to a fun birthday trip up in Milwaukee with a bunch of my best friends. It's going to be a good time. And I'll probably have a little bit then. but giving it a break, saying, no, this is my standard. I do not do this, and I do not indulge in this during the work week when I'm trying to get a lot of stuff done. So that would be a standard. That's a specific form of measurement. No marijuana for this many weeks. I'm not doing it. Focus on this. Okay, cool. All right. What would be another one? Eating past 7:30. Eating past 7:30. This one is pretty hard for me. Eating past 7:30 p.m. So this is a standard that I want to set for myself. I'm not going to eat past like a hard fast rule. These are the standards. Do not eat past 7:30, because if you eat right before you go to bed, you can think of the human body as like a bunch of plumbing, like you would a house. And gravity is your friend when it comes to digestion and getting stuff to flow through. You want it going down, not back up. When it goes back up, you get acid reflux and you get a whole bunch of stuff jacked up. It's not think of a house. If you turned it on its side, on its back, what would the nasty plumbing and all that stuff do? It would run back to the top. We don't want that. So when you do eat things, thinking of like, your plumbing in your body, and you want it to go downward. And what I like to do last night, man, there's these like healthier cookies that they're not that healthy, but healthier for cookies, whatever the heck that means. And I had like 4 of these bad boys last night. I was watching some basketball on the TV. I smoked a little pot. I was eating these cookies, and it was so good. But then I went and then I was so tempted. I was really tired, and I wanted to like go to bed. But I just ate food. I ate dinner, and then I ate that. And so I'm trying to stay vertical after I eat things, because it's just really, really healthy for your body. And when you think of people, how they die in the long term, it's because they can't absorb proper nutrients, systems go out of whack. So keeping your organs functioning is a really good thing for longevity. So that's why that one came on. But this is not so much about me, but say in your situation, what are some standards that you want to set for yourself? Maybe you want to, let me get another piece of chalk, folks. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We're setting some standards for ourselves, setting our standards. These are the form of measurement, and another standard maybe for you would be to wake up at 6 a.m. Wake up 6 a.m. Or maybe your standard is, I no longer drink alcohol. Or maybe your standard is, I write every single day for 10 minutes. These are just some more examples for me, but think of your own examples. Think of the standards that you want to hit. And then as you go through, use this as a real form of measurement. So when you're going through your standards, so these are the standards that I've set for myself. I'm going to do these things. And then like everything, everyone has a plan until life punches you in the face. Shout out to Mike Tyson. But say life's punching you in the face, and then boom, you're like, I'm not going to eat past here. And then you have a long day. This is going on and this is going on. And then you go to the drive-through at some place that's garbage or whatever, processed food that jacks our hormones and all this other bad stuff. We eat garbage, and then we can think to ourselves, what's going on when this happens? Is this because I didn't meal prep? Is this because I am addicted to something? Like, don't be scared to investigate ourselves a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I love therapy, and I think it's absolutely fabulous, and a lot of people need it. However, I think you can give people, if you just step outside of yourself for a moment and you're looking back at yourself, I believe you have the ability to give yourself better advice than anybody could ever give you. I truly believe that, because nobody knows you like you know you. Nobody can feel how you feel. And if you can be really honest with yourself, step outside, and I can look back at little T-Dog and I can say, okay, you had a busy day. This was going on. You're stressed out about this. What is really going on? Why did we fall prey to this? And how can we improve for the next time? instead of beating the crap out of myself, maybe just giving myself some advice on how I can set myself up for success. How can I set myself up for success? That is such a great thing to remember and to remind ourselves. And sometimes that's all we need. It's just a little reminder, that, okay, you're doing awesome. You're doing great. But how can we improve for the next time and not kick my own ass and like along the way, right? I feel like I beat myself up more than anybody ever would in the universe, but it's just part of being human. But that's why we can come back to these standards and we can get better over time. And it doesn't need to be this, you don't need to live a super strict life to live a good life. Versus just, I think we can all appreciate and we all feel good when we can be more disciplined, having these like crucial words in our lives. So just being more disciplined feels good. And if we can be disciplined with our standards, if we can be disciplined with our principles, I believe that we create the formula. So principles and standards, because not everything's a hard line in the sand, but sometimes you got to make a hard line in the sand. And that sounds weird and confusing, but being flexible, understanding different situations, and being open to be just a better person, I think is all we really need to get going in the right direction. All right, folks. That's all I had for this morning. Is I wanted to talk about principles. I wanted to talk about standards. I'm a little over on time, but I'm enjoying myself. I love these two topics. Maybe you learned a little bit about for yourself what's the difference between the two. Maybe you want to investigate your principles a little bit more on how you can create this compass, this guide for yourself. So when you get a little lost, you can get back on the right track. Or maybe you have a tough situation with a family member, with a friend, with a job or something, and you're like, what are my principles? What is the compass that can guide me to make a better decision? Because that's all we can do is make decisions with the resources that we have, and we just want to make the best ones possible. So principles and tying that in within our standards. I will not tolerate this anymore. Like, damn it. I am done with doing this. I'm done beating myself up. I'm done letting this person run me over. I'm not allowing this. Sometimes you got to draw a line in the sand or else you're just going to keep getting run over in the game of life. All right, folks. Thank you so much. That was standards. That was principles. Good morning, everyone. Let's make today great. Let's make it an incredible Monday, even if it's just being a little kinder to ourselves. Spread love and joy to the people who you care about most. If you know anyone who needs help with their social media content or just growing their business and being consistent and being authentic online and creating stuff like this, please connect with me. I'm taking more coaching clients and my website is in the description below. If you got value out of this video specifically and just learning about principles and standards, go ahead and share it with somebody and maybe it can make their day and they can learn a little bit more about themselves. All right, folks, as always, we will be back here live. I'm actually changing the time. So the time for this morning show is going to be changing here. So it's going to be 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. So this is going to be the new time for the show. It's going to be 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. The reason for this is because the most valuable resource of my time right now is selling, and it's to get more clients deliberately, is just contacting people, calling them, sending them messages. And I don't like doing that very much. And so I just like to do it right in the morning and get it out of the way. So I got to do that for a couple hours and then I can lean into this because this is a little more fun and light for me. So, and it's all social media content. So that's cool. But I've noticed that when I just get that prospecting and selling out of the way right in the morning, and then I can lean into this, I just have a way better day. And that's what this show is for. It's just for having a better day, for helping other people have a better day. So if I can show up and be a better version myself, I think that makes a lot of sense too. But all right, folks. So look out for that. We're starting at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Make sure to tell your friends or family, anyone who's a fan of the show, that we're going to be starting at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time starting tomorrow. And I'll make a post about it. I'll send it out, but make sure to check it out. If you don't catch us live, you can always go to, let me add to the stage. You can always go to our past live streams on my YouTube channel. And all of these are on here, whether you wanted energy boosting tips, just pillars of health to help with journaling topics, learning the difference between opportunities and distractions. I really have a fun one talking about that topic. Or maybe you like interviews with people from New Zealand or people down in Texas who are building personal brands and big companies down there. So we got all kinds of content for you guys. If you want to come back and check it out, it's all on YouTube. But other than that, I'm out of here. I got a busy coaching day. I got a few sessions coming up, so I got to get some of my other work done. But in case you need to hear it, folks, I love you. You're a badass. You got this. Have an incredible, incredible day. Check your principles. Use it as a compass. Know your standards. Use it as a form of measurement. Draw that line in the sand for yourself and have an awesome day. Thanks, y'all. Love y'all. I'm out. Peace.